Tuesday, Carrie Lynn, Columbus, Ohio. Good morning, Professor Garcia, Austin.
Good morning, everybody. We're getting started in about 30 seconds. 0800.
Robert Officer, State, Ohio. Carroll, Virginia Beach. William Murphy, Virginia. Woo!
So it's McFarland, Ohio.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's 0800. Hang on. I'm going to mute the lines.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves. All participants are muted.
Well, good morning, everybody out there. How are you this morning? Welcome to the Morning Mojo call. We do these calls at 0800 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. They are about 10 to 15 minutes of some pick-me-up, of some ideas and perspectives and mindsets that your leaders have come across from their journeys and personal growth. And on Mondays, we have a very special one. It's the leadership line where you can ask live questions to senior vice presidents in this company, and they'll answer your questions live. That is a different login code to get in. You need to get that from your upline because it is a leadership call. They have to make sure that you're ready for those calls and that your mindset is in a proper place, because sometimes they're kind of those locker room coaching punch you in the mouth type calls. Well, today is actually one of those. So I want to give all of you the permission to jump off the call right now if you would like to, because this morning is going to be a tough one. A lot of times I have funny ones or things like that, but this morning's a tough one. It is, the title of this one this morning is You Are Soft. Now that may offend some of you, so you may, if you're one of those people that's going to be offended, well, that means you're one of the soft people that I'm talking about, but you should log off right now, okay? So 3, 2, 1, 0. Good. All those people have had a chance to log off. I want to talk to you about my personal growth journey that I've been going through. I've studied guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins. All these people talk about being self-aware. Self-awareness, knowing yourself. The problem is we're all blind to knowing ourselves. We're blind. We think we know ourselves, but we don't. Because it takes people to help us see a new perspective, to see a new paradigm. So I started reading a book. As many of you know, I was in the military for 12 years back in the 80s and 90s. And I started reading a book written by a guy named David Goggins. David Goggins, and the book is called You Can't Hurt Me. So I started reading it and also listening to it. By the way, if you're doing personal growth, I can tell you something really great, is not only read a book, but also listen to the book. You'll get two completely different things out of it. Anyways, that's an aside. We're not on that today. But David Goggins, and he was a Navy SEAL. Now, for those of you who don't know it, Navy SEALs are the elite of the elite in the military. The amount of suffering that they go through training, very few people make it. Lots of people get into SEALs, sign up for it. They volunteer for it. Actually, they apply for it, volunteer, apply, get accepted. They have certain benchmarks they have to hit to even be accepted. And then once they're there, very few make it, but they're elite of the elite. So David Goggins was one of the elite of the elite. But what he did is he started doing a thing called ultra marathons. Ultra marathons. If you don't know what an ultra marathon is, everybody knows what a marathon is, right? It's 26.2 miles. Well, these crazy people, they don't think 26.2 miles is enough. They do multiple marathons back to back in one single race. In fact, the one race that sticks out to me that David Goggins did is called the Badwater 135. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going with this. 135 miles in a race. Human beings with tennis shoes on, running 135 miles, racing each other. And on top of that, to do it, they run it through Death Valley, where the temperatures peak up near 125, 130 degrees. That kind of suffering that they will put themselves through is not really to win the race, but it's to win the battle of their mind. How much suffering can I take? And here's the idea. These crazy people are under the inclination that human beings have gotten soft. And you know what? They're right. They're right. There's a quote in the book that really stuck out to me this past week. And those of you in Columbus have heard me saying it a bit, but I want you to hear it this morning. And it says this: you will never rise to the level of your expectations, but you will always fall to the level of your training. Let me say that again. You will never rise to the level of your expectations. You will always fall to the level of your training. Why'd that stick out to me? Because how many people, maybe it's you, but how many people have people here on their team that say, I can't make it to training. I can't do training. I can't do this. Here's what I want you to know. They're soft. They're soft. If it's you that's here that's listening, you're soft. You have gotten soft. We as human beings have gotten soft, and I'm going to prove it to you here in a second. But I was just so frustrated thinking about this. Like, you can't come to training to get trained to change your life. You tell me you want these things, but yet you won't take the actions that it takes to get it done, right? I mean, we talk about our business being hard. Folks, it's not hard. It's not. That's a soft attitude that we have, and I'm going to prove it to you. So I took a little journey down history, down memory lane, not memory lane, actually, down history lane. I got on the internet, and I went back to what was life like just 100 years ago. 100 years ago. This is how you're going to prove, you're going to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you have gotten soft. We as human beings have gotten soft. If anybody here is on the line, if you are over the age of 47, you are never allowed to complain again. You know why? Because 100 years ago, the life expectancy in the United States of America was 47 years old. That is what, if you were born, you could expect to live to be 47. And if you passed that, you have it good. So if you're over the age of 47, there you go. You're no longer allowed to ever complain again. How about this? Ladies or men here on the line, have any of you taken a bath anytime in the last year? Do you know that only approximately one out of eight homes even had a bathtub 100 years ago? So if you've taken a bath, you've gotten a bath. I actually soaked in the bath yesterday because my knee was hurting. And only one out of eight people had a bathtub. How about this? Telephone calls, right? We're supposed to call people or text them or message them, right? Do you know that 100 years ago, only 1 out of 12 homes even had a telephone? And if they had a telephone, a 3-minute call from Denver to New York City cost $11. Nowadays, we don't even think twice about having a phone. Look, you have unlimited access to telephones. Even just 20 years ago, there was a chance if you tried to contact somebody, you wouldn't be able to reach them. Phones are prevalent now. We carry them with us everywhere we go. And look, if you say, I'm afraid to call people, or I don't want to call my people about my opportunity, here's the thing, you're soft. You have gotten soft. 100 years ago, that wasn't even possible for you to call somebody about your opportunity. Here's another way I'll prove to you that you're soft. Have any of you ever gotten frustrated sitting in traffic? I'll tell you, I'm a nut. I can't stand it. In fact, when somebody sets me up a 9 a.m. appointment, first of all, I'm grateful that I have an appointment, but I'm still a little bit irritated because I'm like, man, I am going to have to go sit in traffic with all these slaves going to their jobs, and I'm going to have to sit in this traffic all morning. It's going to take me 3 times the amount of time it would normally take just driving there if it was after 9 o'clock. Do you know 100 years ago, there was only 8,000 cars in the United States? And out of those 8,000 cars, there was only 144 miles of paved roads. That was it. Just 100 years ago. Look, there's people alive right now that experience these things that we're talking about. So 100 years may sound like a lot, but it's not. There are people alive today, right now today, that were experiencing the things that we're talking about. Do you ever get angry when the traffic's going slow? Do you know the max speed limit in cities was 10 miles an hour? That was the maximum you were allowed to go. Anything above that was speeding. So when you're sitting there in bumper to bumper traffic today, heck, you might be in it right now listening to this. If you're getting frustrated, my friend, you have become soft. Human beings, we are getting soft. And I got to tell you, My son this morning, he was grumbling, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling around, just not happy about going to school. And I said, son, you have gotten soft. I go, do you know where you'd be 100 years ago today? I said, you'd have just been coming home from the war. That's right. World War I took 2 million American boys, teenagers, most of them, and took them over. 50,000 of them died over in Europe fighting the Germans. So I said, you're soft. You have it good. What do you think he did? He grumbled, whatever. I said, how about this then, son? Do you realize that back then, back 100 years ago, only 1 out of 10 people even graduated from high school. Most boys your age had already been working for 6 years. He turned 18. He's a senior in high school. We're working. There was no child labor laws back then. Your kids, most families had to pull their kids out of school, grade school, barely able to read, and put them in factories or in coal mines, like dangerous places, like coal mines. The reality of it is this: we have gotten soft. We complain about our healthcare system, but 100 years ago, 90% of all U.S. physicians had no college education, none. They went to medical schools, which were condemned in the press as being substandard. So we've gotten soft. Look, here's the thing about our business. It is not hard. It is not hard. It's a simple business, and there are simple activities. The difference is this: we have gotten soft as human beings. Picking up your telephone that you can carry with you anywhere you go and dial somebody that you can reach anywhere in the world is simple to do. The fact that you're soft is that somebody's words, 2 little letters, N-O, no. The fact that they say no hurts your feelings to the point that you want to quit means you're soft. You're soft. I'm soft. We as a human race have become soft. Stacy and I watched this show called Naked and Afraid. We watch, and these human beings go out completely naked. They're given one luxury item, usually just like a knife or a fire starter, and they drop them off in some of the most inhospitable places on the planet. Don't worry, they blur the nakedness. But thank goodness we see some of these people. But anyways, we're like, how could this be? How could someone do this? It's impossible to do. But the reality is this: we've just gotten soft. See, human beings lived for, well, since the beginning of time, out in inhospitable conditions. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It's not like we just arrived in modern times. Look, we are in one of the most luxurious, softest, easiest times ever to be a human being in the history of mankind. And if we can't get out of our own way and get past our own feelings and toughen ourselves up enough where we can send out some texts, some Facebook messages, put some posts out, send some emails, make some phone calls. If we're not hard enough to do that, then what the hell are we doing? Here's what I recommend. Take a journey through the internet down memory lane and go back 100 years, go back 200 years and realize how good we have it, and get your mind right before you start working on your business, right? So I was going through that and I was just like, this is crazy. How can I be so soft? How can it have happened? Well, it's happened to all of us. So David Goggins, back to his book, You Can't Hurt Me. This is just some ideas and when you go through the book, by the way, don't bother ordering it if you get offended by adult language. It's written by a military man. There's an F-bomb every 3rd or 4th word. In the military, that's not cussing. Those are just adjectives that we use. So, but anyways, that's just advance warning for you because you won't like it if you get offended by adult language. But he has a rule he came up with called the 40% rule. This is where I wanted to get to today. The 40% rule is this: when you absolutely have given your max, when you have, whether it's in the physical world, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in the business world, when you have given your max, when you get to a point where you say you absolutely cannot do anymore, you're only at 40% of your capacity. And how does he prove it to people when he coaches them? He does this. He takes them to a pull-up bar and he says, how many pull-ups can you do? do as many as you can. And he has them do as many as they can until they max out. For most people on the line here, it's probably less than 5, sadly. They're hard to do. And then once they get to their max, where they can't get up anymore, he doesn't let them leave until they do 100 more. 100 more. So if max was the amount you did was 5, then he stays with you until you do 100 more. You don't leave that pull-up bar. And how do you do them? Well, you do them one at a time, plowing through again and again. Now, why does he do that? To torture the person? No, he does it to teach them this. No matter when you think you're at the end, when you think you've given all of it, there's still more to give. It's the 40% rule. It's pretty amazing. There's some YouTube videos on it and stuff like that. You definitely want to check that out. And then there's one more military concept that he adds to the book that I want to talk about today, and then we're done with this. And it's called backstops. Backstops in the military is when you're navigating somewhere and you're on your way and you're on a mission and you're heading towards a certain destination, right? And you're on your way there. You have to plan ahead of time. You have to have the planning. You have to know what benchmarks you need to hit, and you have to track your progress. But sometimes you can get off course, especially when operating in the middle of the night, right? When you're trying to get somewhere and it's unfamiliar territory. Anything that's going to make sense? Sound like a business you're going through, right? Well, they have things called backstops, where they know they have a certain waypoint they need to hit, and then they need to take a hard right, right? And what they do is they set up backstops past that. They have set focal points that if they know if they hit this point, that they missed their waypoint and they need to backtrack and regroup and head back over. For example, if they were heading for a giant rock and they're going through the night and they don't see the rock, but they get to a road and the road was the backstop, the road means, oh my gosh, I missed my waypoint. We got to turn around and we got to get back and we got to find the spot we were supposed to go to. And these backstops are very important to build into everything in your life. One of them for your health could be certain weight points. When I hit a certain point of weight, I know, gosh darn it, I better knuckle down and get back to it because I don't want to get too far off course. Otherwise, I can be completely derailed and the mission can fail. The same thing can happen in your relationship. You can have backstops that know that, hey, if something happens where I get to this spot, I'm in trouble. I need to circle back and get back to where I need to be. I need to knuckle down. And in our business, it's through tracking. You need to have backstops. One of your backstops, if you're in the ACN business with us and you're listening to this today, is the fact the international is coming up. If you are going to miss the international, you've got to take a look and say, where am I at in my business? What is going on? That's a backstop. We have those once every 3 months, as you know. And it is a great way to get your head realigned and get you back in the game. I would go out and say that Saturday meetings, our weekly training meetings are backstops. If you're not hitting a weekly training, you got to take a look. Your business is in trouble. And for those of you I know who your head's going off right now saying, well, he doesn't know about me. I work on Saturday morning. Well, then we have online trainings. For those of you who live out of town, we live stream the trainings and you can log on. Look, there's no excuse that you can give that makes it so that you can't be attending a weekly training. That's a backstop for you in a spot that if you miss the training that week, your business is off course and you should be taking that as a warning sign that you need to circle back and get back on. So those are a couple of things I got out of the book. There's a lot more there, but I can tell you, we as Americans especially, but adults living in this day and age have gotten soft. Things are so easy for us now that little simple things like picking up the phone and calling someone and asking them, saying hello to them and asking them that you found a new business opportunity you're very excited about. Are they interested in hearing about it? The fact that you get the answer no and you can't take that, it is a warning sign that we have gotten soft. So I want to thank everybody for taking time out this morning. Hopefully nobody's crying while they're driving down the road or anything like that. Just remember, anything that probably is going to irritate you today, if you take a look at how things were 100 years ago, you should be grateful for that thing that you have in your life that's probably irritating you. So thanks everybody for joining me this morning. I look forward to seeing all of you in less than a month in Charlotte, North Carolina, it is a huge backstop for you to attend your weekly trainings. And then also that one is the key one. If you miss that, you've got to reevaluate what's going on with your business and where are you headed. So thanks everybody for joining me today. Have a great day. I will see you all soon.